The wooden door creaks as it shuts, and instantly the world outside disappears. You're swallowed by a darkness so heavy it feels alive. The only light flickers weakly from a small hearth, casting long, dancing shadows against uneven walls of wattle and daub. Your first breath catches in your throat. The air is thick, damp and stale, filled with the sharp tang of smoke, the sourness of unwashed bodies, and something faintly rotten that you can't quite place. Your eyes struggle to adjust. There are no windows, no beams of sunlight, just a single hole in the roof that lets smoke curl upward in lazy, suffocating spirals. Every sound feels amplified in this small space. The faint rustle of straw underfoot, the soft cluck of a chicken wandering somewhere near the corner, the wet cough of a child lying close to the fire. You notice how low the ceiling feels. It presses down on you, making the room feel more like a cave than a home. You can't stand fully upright without brushing against the rough timbers overhead. Everything is crammed close together. A crooked wooden bench, a rough-hewn table, a heap of tools stacked haphazardly against the wall. There is no order, only necessity. And yet, this is not just a shelter. It is the entire world for the family who lives here. Here they eat, sleep, work, argue, and pray. Here children are born, grow sick, and sometimes die. Everything about their existence begins and ends in this single dim chamber. You take another breath, deeper this time. It doesn't help. The smoke from the hearth clings to your lungs, making your eyes water. You already long for the open air outside, but this is only the beginning. If you truly want to understand what it meant to live in a one-room medieval home, you have to stay. You have to let the darkness, the closeness, and the weight of it settle on your skin. So you remain standing there, trapped between curiosity and a creeping sense of dread. Could you endure what they called home, or would you already be looking for a way out? A floor of dirt and secrets. Your feet press into the ground, and you realize there is no floor, only earth, hard-packed dirt, uneven and gritty, covered in a thin layer of straw. At first glance, it seems simple, but the longer you look, the more you notice. Bits of old ash from the hearth have been scattered here, black streaks blending with the soil. A chicken pecks at something near the edge of the room, scratching up scraps of food that fell days ago. The earth is alive. It holds every moment this family has ever lived here. When soup boils over, it drips onto this floor. When a child spills milk, it soaks into this floor. When someone coughs up blood or vomits from fever, it lands right here and stays. There is no scrubbing, no washing away. Only straw is scattered to mask the mess until it's forgotten. You crouch and see the tiny movements of life beneath the surface. Small beetles scurry. A fat gray rat darts into a shadowy hole. The smell rises with each step, damp, moldy, faintly sour. This same ground has absorbed years of human sweat, animal droppings, and kitchen waste. It is a history you can smell, even taste, if you dare to breathe too deeply. Sometimes the family even bring their goats or pigs inside on cold nights, so the animals' hooves have trodden this same soil, mixing their waste into the floor. Children play here, crawling and tumbling in the same dirt where chickens scratch for scraps. If a baby drops a crust of bread, it's simply brushed off and eaten. And when someone dies in this house, their body rests on this same earth before burial. The floor becomes part of every memory: birth, sickness, hunger, and death. It's not just dirt, it's the silent witness to everything. You feel a shiver, knowing that this ground has seen more than anyone ever spoke aloud. Would you sit here? Could you sleep here? They had no choice. The hearth that barely warms. Your eyes are drawn to the single hearth at the center of the room. It's nothing like a modern fireplace, just a shallow pit lined with stones, a few weak flames licking at damp firewood. The smoke doesn't rise neatly up a chimney. Instead, it drifts lazily across the room, filling every corner with a hazy, acrid veil. You can already feel it stinging your eyes, scratching the back of your throat. This small fire is the heart of the home. It is where meals are cooked, where water is boiled, where light and warmth struggle to exist. But it never feels like enough. The flames are weak because wood is scarce and precious. Every stick was gathered painstakingly from the forest or hedgerows, and most of it is wet or half-rotten. It burns unevenly, spitting embers and sending up clouds of choking smoke. In the long winter nights, the family huddles around this same hearth, clutching at whatever warmth it gives. Yet even sitting just a few feet away, the cold creeps in from the walls and floor. The heat never truly reaches the edges of the room. Your back is cold, while your face burns from the fire. It's a cruel tease, a reminder that survival in this home is always a negotiation with discomfort. The ceiling above is blackened with years of soot. Every wooden beam carries the memory of countless smoky nights. Clothes hanging near the fire are stiff with the smell of ash. The family breathes this air every day, their lungs coated with fine black particles. Many children grow up coughing, their tiny bodies weakened by the constant assault of smoke. And yet, without this hearth, they would die. There is no other source of heat, no way to cook food, no comfort against the freezing winds that cut through the countryside. This fire, as pathetic as it seems, is life itself. You imagine sitting here for hours, eyes watering, lungs aching, and still shivering in the damp cold that creeps under the door. Could you endure it? Or would you long for the clean, invisible warmth of the world you left outside?
Sleeping like sardines. Night comes without warning in a medieval home, with no clocks, no electric lamps, and no clear division between day and evening. The family moves by instinct. As the fire dies to glowing embers and the room dims into near blackness, it's time to sleep. But there are no bedrooms, no mattresses, no privacy, just a single room, this room for everyone. You glance toward the far corner, where a pile of straw and rough woolen blankets marks the bed. It's not large, it's not soft, and yet 5, sometimes 6 people must share this space. The parents lie on one end, the youngest children tucked close to them for warmth. Older children curl wherever they can find room, knees pressed into backs, arms draped over legs. There is no stretching out. Everyone sleeps curled, hunched, half covered. Occasionally, there might be a wooden sleeping platform, just a raised board with straw thrown on top, but it creaks, groans, and offers little more comfort than the dirt. If you're lucky, there's a single thin blanket,
coarse and itchy from years of use. More often, it's just cloaks or spared tunics used to fight the cold. And then there's the noise. A father's snoring, a child's coughing, the scratching of rats in the thatch above. Someone stirs, someone mumbles in their sleep, a baby cries. In winter, livestock might be brought inside to avoid freezing. So now you're not just sleeping next to your brother, but next to a goat. The smell worsens overnight. With bodies packed so tightly, the warmth turns cloying. Sweat, smoke, animal fur, old straw, everything combines into a thick, sour fog that clings to the walls and settles into the skin. There's no bathing before bed, no brushing teeth, no clean pajamas. You sleep in the same clothes you wore all day, sometimes the same clothes for weeks, and always the lice. They live in the seams of your clothing, in the folds of the blankets. Everyone itches, no one escapes. You scratch in the dark, hoping for relief, knowing none will come. Can you imagine sharing this with your entire family, night after night, year after year? Sleep isn't restful here. It's survival, a restless pause before another day begins. You don't stretch, you don't turn over, you make yourself small, because in this one-room life, there's never enough space, not even to dream. A kitchen, stable, and sick room in one. As you look around, you realize this room isn't just where the family sleeps, it's where they do everything. The single hearth doubles as a kitchen. A blackened iron pot hangs over the fading flames, simmering something that barely passes for a meal. Watery pottage made from cabbage, onions, and whatever scraps they could find. The smell of boiling vegetables mixes with the lingering stench of sweat and animals. There's no table set neatly for meals. Food is eaten from wooden bowls on laps or shared straight from the pot. If a bit spills onto the floor, it's left for the chickens that wander freely inside. In the far corner, you notice a small pen made of rough timber. A pig stares back at you with dull eyes. On colder nights, goats and chickens are brought inside too, their presence a strange comfort against the bitter cold. They provide warmth, milk, and eggs, but they also leave their mess wherever they stand. The straw beneath them is already damp with manure. And then there's sickness. When someone falls ill, there's no separate room for care. The same space where the family cooks and eats becomes a sick bed. A fevered child might lie on a blanket near the hearth, while the rest of the family steps carefully around them. A mother giving birth does so here, surrounded by the same smoke, dirt, and smells. And when someone is dying, their last breaths are taken in the same corner where the pig sleeps and the pot boils. The room is everything: kitchen, stable, nursery, workshop, sick room, and deathbed. There is no separation between the sacred and the profane. No moment of life happens in private. You can almost hear the constant shuffle of activity, the scrape of a spoon in the pot, the cluck of a chicken, the rattle of a sick child's breath. Life layers itself on top of itself here, chaotic but relentless. To you, it feels unbearable. To them, it was simply home. Could you eat where your animals live? Could you sleep where someone died last winter? They didn't ask those questions. They didn't have the luxury to. Survival blurred every line.
The smells that never leave. You take a breath, hesitant, and immediately regret it. The air here has weight, a damp, clinging heaviness that coats the back of your throat. It's not one single smell, it's a collision of smells.
There's the sharp tang of wood smoke that never fully clears, settling into every crack and crevice. The sour scent of sweat and unwashed bodies lingers like a constant reminder that bathing is rare, reserved for special occasions or sheer necessity. Beneath it all is the faint but inescapable stench of livestock, the musky odor of a pig in the corner, the ammonia bite of goat urine soaking into the straw. And then there's the food, stale bread, boiling cabbage, spilled broth that seeped into the dirt days ago and is slowly rotting. Mixed together, it forms a kind of permanent fog of life and decay. You could leave this house for weeks and still carry its scent on your clothes. In summer, it's worse. Heat turns the room into a slow cooking pot of odors. Flies buzz around half-spoiled scraps. Damp straw grows moldy. Your skin feels sticky, coated with the scent of smoke and sweat. In winter, the smell shifts. Less rot, more damp wool, more smoke filling your lungs as the family burns anything they can to keep warm, even manure. This is a smell you can't escape. The family living here has grown used to it, their senses dulled by necessity. But for you, fresh from a world of soap and ventilation, it's overwhelming. It clings to your hair, your skin, your very breath. Imagine waking every morning to the same stench, eating with it, sleeping in it, watching your children grow up never knowing what fresh air truly smells like. There is no candle, no herb bundle strong enough to mask it. This smell isn't in the room, it's in the people. It is medieval life itself, etched into every fiber of their being. A family on display. In this one-room home, there are no secrets. Every sound, every sigh, every whispered conversation is heard by everyone. There is nowhere to retreat, no quiet corner to cry in, no place to be truly alone. Privacy, as you know it, simply doesn't exist. If a husband and wife argue, the children hear every word. If someone is in pain, the whole family watches. Even the most intimate moments of life, giving birth, nursing a wound, comforting the dying, happen in plain sight. You cannot choose what you witness. You cannot choose what you share. Imagine being a teenager in this house. There's no space to grow into yourself, no door to close, no moment to hide your feelings. Even changing clothes is done hurriedly, under a blanket, with your family just a few steps away. Childhood and adulthood blur together, all lived in the same confined space. And yet, this forced closeness isn't always cruel. It means you are never truly alone. You are surrounded by the rhythms of life, your siblings' laughter, your mother's humming as she stirs the pot, your father's tired footsteps after a day in the fields. You share warmth, food, and every small victory of survival. But you also share every humiliation. If someone falls ill, the family tends to them here. A child whimpers in fever, tossing on the same straw where they once played. When death comes, it does not come privately. It comes in the middle of the room, in the middle of the family, and everyone bears witness. There is a strange intimacy in it, a bond forged from having no barriers, but it is also suffocating. There's no space for secrets, no room for dreams. Even your thoughts feel exposed, because everyone already knows your life, your routines, your moods. Could you live like that, with your every move watched, every sound shared, every breath part of a collective life? For the medieval family, there was no choice. Their lives were entangled, for better or worse, in this single space. This room doesn't just hold a family, It binds them. The outside creeps in. Even here, inside what passes for a home, you are never fully safe from the outside world. The thin walls of wattle and daub can't keep nature out. The cold slips through every crack, turning the air damp and heavy. On stormy nights, rain leaks through the roof, dripping onto the straw, soaking blankets, turning the floor to mud. You hear the wind outside, a low, mournful howl that seeps through the gaps between the timber beams. In winter, the air grows so cold your breath becomes visible even indoors. Fingers grow stiff, toes go numb. The fire helps, but only barely. The family huddles closer, wrapping themselves in whatever scraps of fabric they have, yet the chill still finds them. Then there are the uninvited visitors. Rats scuttle along the edges of the room, nibbling at crumbs and stored grain. Mice dart under piles of straw. Insects, fleas, lice, beetles are a permanent part of life. In summer, flies swarm endlessly, drawn by the smell of animals and unwashed bodies. Sometimes the outside world brings worse than pests. A passing traveler might bring news of sickness or the sickness itself. Plague and fevers spread quickly in homes like this, where the air is stale and every breath is shared. You can almost imagine it. One child starts coughing, and within days the entire family lies weak and fevered in the same room. And beyond nature, there's the threat of people. Bandits, soldiers, or desperate neighbors can push through these flimsy walls with ease. There's no locked door to stop them. At night, the family prays the darkness outside doesn't bring danger inside. Even the smells of the outside world seep in: wet earth, manure from nearby fields, the scent of decay from a dead animal lying too close to the home. You realize there is no true boundary between inside and outside. This room is more like a fragile shell, barely holding back a harsh world that never stops pressing in. Could you ever feel truly safe here? Or would every creak of the wind remind you how thin these walls really are? This room meant survival. For all its darkness, its filth, and its suffocating closeness, this single room kept people alive. It was the only shield a family had against the brutal cold of winter, the endless rain, and the hunger prowling outside. When the wind howled across empty fields, this room, fragile as it was, held warmth. When predators roamed at night, from wolves to desperate thieves, this thin door was still better than no door at all. The hearth, even as it choked everyone with smoke, meant they could boil water, cook meager food, and keep sickness at bay. The shared body heat of an entire family huddled together meant they could outlast the freezing nights when someone sleeping alone might not wake up at all. The animals brought inside might have added to the smell and the mess, but they also provided milk, eggs, and a living reminder that the family wasn't starving. This room taught resilience. Every inch of it was shaped by necessity. The tools hanging on the walls were repaired over and over, never discarded. The straw beds, though crawling with pests, were enough to let a weary body rest, just enough to work again the next day. Children learned from birth that survival wasn't about comfort. It was about enduring. And beyond survival, this space held the fragile threads of family life. Around the same smoky hearth where meals were cooked and stories whispered, bonds were forged. In the dark, they shared not only their suffering, but their love, their laughter, and the rare moments of joy. So while you see a cramped, filthy room, they saw life itself. Without it, they would have nothing. No warmth, no food, no shelter. It may have felt like a cage, but it was also a fortress against a world that was far harsher beyond these walls. Could you look past the dirt, the smells, the claustrophobia, and see the necessity? Could you see this room not as a prison, but as the one fragile barrier between life and death? They didn't just live here, they survived here. Could you last a night? Now, imagine yourself here, truly here. The door has closed behind you, sealing out the fading daylight. The hearth sputters with a few last sparks of warmth, filling the air with more smoke than heat. The room is dim, the corners almost swallowed in darkness. You sit on the rough straw, feeling it prickle through your clothes. Around you, the family settles in for the night. A baby whimpers softly. Someone coughs, a deep, wet sound that doesn't stop. The pig shifts in its pen, snorting in its sleep. Above, you hear tiny scratching noises, rats moving through the thatch. The smell of the day hangs heavy, old food, unwashed bodies, damp earth. As the room grows quieter, the reality becomes louder in your mind. There is no privacy. You cannot wash your face, change into clean clothes, or retreat to a bedroom of your own. You can't open a window for fresh air. There isn't one. You lie down among strangers and animals alike, sharing the same stale breath, the same cramped space. You try to sleep, but the floor is hard. Your body aches after only a few minutes. The air feels heavy, humid, almost oily in your lungs. Each breath reminds you that this isn't just one night, it's every night. For years, for a lifetime. There is no escape, no alternative, no comfort waiting elsewhere. Could you endure it? Could you wake up tomorrow and do it all again? Cook in the same smoky room, walk barefoot on the same dirt floor, eat where the animals relieve themselves, live every moment on display. Could you live in this single room without walls to divide life from death, filth from food, rest from labor? For the medieval family, there was no choice. This was not temporary. This was home. They adapted. They endured. They survived because they had to. But you, with your soft bed and warm light waiting beyond the screen, could you truly last a single night? Or would the weight of the darkness, the smell, and the closeness drive you back to the world you came from? This room is more than a shelter. It's a mirror, showing just how far humanity has come and how fragile comfort really is. So, could you live here? Or would you, like so many who see it for the first time, step outside and gasp for air?